How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Fourever Arsenal podcast. It's all smiles. We got some shoulder shaking down there in the bottom right. I wonder why. We might get into it at some point this show. What are you so cheery about?
He just loves the intro. It's a world-class intro. I was enjoying it as well. That little dance in the background. That's all it was, I'm sure.
Yeah. At some point. At some point.
Big up everyone back in the building. Me, Jordan, Lee, James. Make sure you're hitting the like button, people. Let's get up to 1,000 likes. And yeah, we are going to get into it, obviously, a little bit later. The prediction table stuff and all of that. What's that? Sat-nav?
What?
Oh, I just said, oh, yeah. Sorry, Jordan's at the train station or something. I just heard some sort of announcement or something. But yeah, we move. Obviously, Sevilla.
I thought it was at a 1970s disco at some point.
Sorry. So just to be transparent to the viewers, I'm in a hall in Wolverhampton. I did a talk earlier on at a young people's event, and I'm upstairs, and they're preparing in this hall for a wedding tomorrow. So if you see the flaring lights, it's that's what it is. I'm not at a rave. I'm not at traffic lights. Yeah, that's what it is.
It looks lit.
Yeah. You want to stay up there for the wedding?
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Jordan's always all over the gaff. But let's listen. Before we get into it, people, as you can see, this episode of the Fourever Arsenal podcast is in paid partnership with BetterHelp. Life tends to bring more questions than answers. And if there is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals, please click the link in the description below or visit betterhelp.com/AFTV and you'll get 10% off your first month. You can start therapy in just 3 simple steps. Fill out the brief questionnaire so BetterHelp can assess your needs, get a personalized therapist match, and schedule your weekly sessions in a way that suits you best, whether it be via telephone, video call, or messaging. You can contact your therapist at any time from anywhere. Schedule live sessions when convenient for you, and you can connect from any mobile device or computer. Therapy when you need it and how you need it. Look after your mind as well as your body and soul. If you think you might benefit from therapy, consider BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/AFTV to find out more and get 10% off your first month.
I just say, I've done the whole setup process. I wanted to check this out, and it's brilliant. Like, it's really, really good. The kind of way they ask you that, the right things, and they set you up, and it's a very personalized experience. And yeah, it's fantastic. I really do recommend it.
Yeah, I've actually been through the website and the process as well. I've been connected to a therapist courtesy of BetterHelp, and it's whether you want to open up a new chapter of your life, if you want to talk about problems, if you want to gain a new skill, a therapist can help you with it all. And there's also a QR code there on the screen, people. So make sure you scan that if you do want to find out more. Like I said, you get 10% off your first month if you do go via the link or the QR code. Let's get into it because it's a big away win. Champions League. Only one man predicted the win. That's why he was smiling at the start of the show. And we'll get into why later on. But yeah, Lee, let's start with you because you was over there. You just about made it back for the show. But a massive 2-1 away win at Sevilla.
David Ryan looked great, didn't he?
Massive. Oh, I thought he was superb on the night. Unbelievable. Even doing trick knock over the bars at the end of the game.
I thought that was genius. That was brilliant.
I just like the way he just looked at the Arsenal fans and give us a wink and said, that's what I can do. I said, David, David,
why punch it back into the crowd when you can slice and just punch it over and give away the corner? I think it's fantastic.
Don't tease us no more. And I'll tell you what, me and him would have fallen out big time. I had the 2-1 in the bag if you'd have done that and let Service off. That would have been, me and David.
That's the reason why you've been pissed off.
Over. Would have been over. But
I actually predicted 2-2. So in
his defence, I'm gonna say in his defence, I know you might think I'm silly on this. The conditions were tricky, very, very slippery. Rained all day. Sorry, not all day, all game. It was a lovely day in Malaga and Seville, and then As soon as we got to the ground, I said, "Oh, nice open ground, no roofs." The rain come down and it didn't stop, So big up to the fans on the upper tier, because there was no roof or shelter for them, and they were just getting soaked. And I can tell you, it was that rain that was very, very heavy at times. And big up to them. But I thought, I'm going to say it now. I've got in today, and I've done a Jordan, just watched the highlights. So I haven't been able to watch the full game, but what I see of it, I just echo what I thought about it. Watching it with the eye, I thought we was brilliant. I thought it was a really, really good away performance. I forgot about the Odegaard chance in the second half. You know what I mean? Virtually an open goal. We had some. We created some chances in that game. Martinelli in the first half, and Jesus had one very similar to his goal sort of position in the first half. We opened them up on a few occasions and looked good, looked really dangerous going forward, I felt like, and when it mattered, we had a little shaky spell for 10 minutes, but we dug in and defended really, really well. For 60 minutes, guys, I think that was probably one of our best performances. But on 50, until they scored, I thought we was really, really, really good. The only disappointment of the night for me is Jesus. I've seen it now. I didn't even know that he went off with a hamstring until you guys told me on the show yesterday, the Fan Zone show. I didn't even know. I thought it was just a kick. But looking at it, that looks like I don't think we'll see him now until the international break. So after that, which is a sad thing because what a turn, by the way. I didn't even know how good that was until I see it. Unbelievable, to do that turn, elastic legs. He's no wonder he's got an hamstring trouble, doing things like that. It was incredible, and an incredible finish, an incredible pass at the end of that turn as well, boys. I don't think that should be underestimated. Inch perfect. But all in all, we haven't been that great in Europe, have we? I can't remember the last time I've walked away from a European game satisfied and really buzzing after an all-round good performance like that last night. So well done to everybody involved.
I do want to talk about Jesus first because a lot of people, were questioning him prior. Poor game against Chelsea. Obviously, the first time he started up top in the Premier League all season. I think it was very harsh for questions to be asked about him. And he stepped up. I mean, that's now 3 goals in the Champions League and an assist, I believe, in his first 3 games for us.
I think it's 2 an assist. Oh, no, maybe it's 3. Yeah, it's 3.
ESV scored, Lonzo scored. Yeah, 3 and 3. He's got 3 and 3 and an assist on top of that. And like Lee said, the assist was beautiful. And then he goes off injured. And then Lee just said we probably won't see him till after the next international break. That's not something I want to hear because Newcastle ties coming up. I think we can get past Sheffield United. I think we can get past West Ham, Burnley without Jesus comfortably. The Newcastle one is where I think we need exactly what he brings.
I think he'll be okay. There were 2 interviews. There was Arteta, who I think was always going to do the pessimistic. Well, he normally would stay on, so it's not good. But then Jesus, I think, who wants to probably let the Arsenal fans know he's all right, said, look, I've got a scan tomorrow, but I'm sure it's nothing. Now, okay, neither can know, and obviously scans and all that will be done, but I think he'll be okay. What I think, though, is they might not risk him for Sheffield United. I don't think he's going to play anyway against West Ham next week. So Newcastle might be the earliest we see him again, but I think he's probably fine-ish. He did walk off.
Why do you say that, though? Sorry, James, but because when I saw it, I think when we all saw it, none of us assumed it was a hamstring injury because it's not your traditional method of pulling your hamstring or injuring, tearing, whatever. It looked like it was something else. But why did you say that, Lee? Why do you say international break? Have you?
Well, because I think like a hamstring injury for 3 weeks, and I don't like it when a player goes down holding his hamstring, like, you know what I mean? And straight away rubbing it, like, it could be cramp. It could be, like a little strain and all that. But, it was just the way he was holding it and right in the real middle of the thigh as well. So, it's not good. It's not good. And the thing is with people like Jesus, and he's one of those players that's explosive off the mark and all that, and that's why hamstrings are a bit dodgy. So listen, I'm hoping that it's nothing serious. But if it is a hamstring injury, then you're looking at 3 weeks minimum, really, guys.
I mean, look, as has been pointed out many times on this channel, we're not medical experts.
No.
But I don't know. I base it on nothing. It's just more hopeful than anything. He just, he went down. Made sense not to risk it. Walked over to the fans, clapped them, walked off. His quotes, he said that he doesn't think it's anything serious. So we just hope he's all right. I mean, look, he's not exactly got great form for it. He was brilliant against Barcelona. And then 2 days later, this is in pre-season, 2 days later, we find out he's out for 4 or 5 weeks. And it's like, what? He was fine. But so it could be worse, but hopefully it's not. I have a feeling he's telling us it's fine because he genuinely thinks it's fine.
Jordan.
That's a great point you make there, James, because normally when you have an injury like that, you go straight off, don't you? Straight into the tunnel or whatever. He was out at the end with the fans, so, let's look on the positive.
Yeah.
Jordan, let's get your thoughts. How good was Jesus and how bad would missing him be in the Newcastle game?
I'll get to Jesus in just a second because I've got some thoughts on Jesus. Just very briefly on the game. A professional performance. That's the word that comes to mind. Sevilla are no mugs. They are a seasoned European side. I know they're not having the greatest of times. Last I looked in La Liga, I know they got a draw against Madrid on the weekend, but that's Sevilla are a proper European side. And to go there and not only win, but be the better team for the majority of the game, that is really impressive. That is what I want to see from my Arsenal team when they go away. It hasn't got to be flashy. I mean, it was flashy. The goals were great. But it hasn't got to be flashy. Just be professional. Compete, quieten the crowd, take your chances, get the hell out. And we've reclaimed control of the group now, I think. I think we're now 2 wins away from topping the group. So really impressed with the performance. Tomiyasu, we discussed on the last podcast, and I was kind of leaning more towards Zinchenko, despite the fact that Tommy's my guy. He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. But I don't want Tomiyasu's form and Zinchenko's lack of form to lull us into a false sense of security, whereby we think Tomiyasu should be the starting fullback. Because as much as I love Tomiyasu, he's my guy, my favourite player. He's consistent, doesn't let us down. I don't think he's good enough to be Arsenal's regular starting fullback. I think there are games for him. I think that when he comes in and comes out, he delivers. But I don't think he's good enough to be the guy to win a title, to play. Sorry?
In what department is he not good enough to play the role?
I just don't think he's the level. I think he's in that kind of weird space of he's not quite good enough to be our starting 11 if you want to win a Premier League title, but he's probably too good to be on the bench as well. So I think he kind of comes in, comes out, and he delivers. I don't think he's going to.
I think, for example, if Akanji was at Arsenal, I think people could describe him as that player where he's probably not good enough to start for a title-winning side. But, at City, he slots into a system that makes him look better than he is. And so, but I think that's harsh on Tomiyasu to say look better than he is, because yesterday, I think he was a candidate, if not man of the match. It's just Jesus.
Oh, no. I agree, and like I say, I love Tomiyasu. I really rate him. I just don't think of 38 games. No, I do. I'm just being balanced.
You're treating him like Lee treats Raya.
I'm just saying, as much as I rate him, I don't think over 38 games you win a Premier League title with Tomiyasu as your fullback. I think he's a brilliant, perfect squad player to come in when the guys are out. But I'm being negative. He was great. He was brilliant. So I want to just give him a special mention because I love him.
Have you met Zinchenko's auntie or something recently? Is that why?
This guy. And let's not forget Timber as well is out injured. So none of them would be starting, as far as I'm aware, if he was fit. So back to Jesus. You mentioned some people have been quite critical of Jesus recently, and you were talking about me basically, and rightfully so. On the last podcast, you kind of pulled me up.
I actually wasn't, because on the Big Six, a couple of people tried to really question him, like we need an upgrade on him rather than we need something different to complement him.
I saw starting 11s doing the round on social media. That's what got to me. Like all the other discussions, I thought were fair to a degree, but I saw starting 11s, quite a few of them that had Havertz starting up top, and I'm thinking, Jesus has one not great game against Chelsea up top. in his first start up front. Kai Havertz has done near nothing. And really everyone's like wanting to.
Oh, James, I'm starting Jesus against Seville last night. That's not a debate for me completely. But my concerns about Jesus, and by the way, he also was brilliant. I agree, brilliant performance. Two things I have with Jesus. One, his fitness is clearly a problem. Now I don't know if he was kicked or if he just ran too much and pulled his hamstring. I don't know. His fitness record is clearly an ongoing issue, and I find it difficult to rely on our main striker if you can't rely on him for the majority of the season. So that for me is an issue why I think we do need to upgrade, just for someone that we know starts every single week. And the other thing I have about Jesus as well is which is equally a concern. He was brilliant yesterday, but I still can't get that miss against Chelsea at the Bridge last season out of my head. I still can't get that Tottenham Hotspur this season, the Emirates, miss out of my head. As much as he's a fantastically technically gifted guy, he's a joy to watch, Turkish. He's a brilliant player. I just fear in the business end of the season, in the games and moments that really matter, where you need a guy to be composed and put those chances away, I'm not convinced he's the guy to do that. I'll say again, he's a brilliantly, technically, skillfully gifted player that brings me joy. I'm not saying sell him. I'm not saying I don't rate him. I'm just saying if we're being ruthless, I don't think he's the guy that in a difficult game, in a difficult moment, to score a chance where you don't get many chances, I'm not still convinced he's the guy that I put my house on to take that chance. And there's not many of those guys around, granted.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I actually don't disagree with you there. But that's why I like to choose the word complement Jesus in the striking position rather than an upgrade on him. Because as much as you're right, listen, big up someone in the comment section. I forgot who it was, but it was either on my interview or maybe it could be even AFTV. Actually, I don't even know where the comment was, but it's in my head. But find me a striker better than Jesus outside the box.
That's a great comment.
Very difficult.
But it is difficult, Turkish. But also, and I'm not comparing the two players in terms of the level, but Lacazette got battered for his outside the box work, his initial hold up. There's levels. But ultimately, that outside the box work, whilst it contributes to our overall attack, and it's why Saka and Martinelli get so many goals, I accept that. Ultimately, when we've got 8 games to go, and we're having a dry spell, and we need our gunman to take chances, we're going to be chatting here in 3 months' time talking about his build-up play is great, his hold-up play is great. We'll be talking about the sitters that he may miss. So let's be brutal. Let's be very
equally. Okay, if we're going to be brutal, let's be brutal. Equally, the prediction or the trajectory indicated that this season, Saka and Martinelli would touch 20 goals, if not surpass it, right? So your point there that in the near future we might look at Jesus missing chances that have cost us. I don't disagree, maybe because I don't trust him in front of goal like that either. But in the near future, if Saka and Martinelli's trajectories continue to go that way, and they are 20 goal a season players in the league, then Jesus doesn't look like the bad guy because he would be a key reason why them two are on 20 goals.
I agree. And that's the problem for me. Him not being the gunman that's going to put up 25, 30 goals, that means that Martinelli and Saka have to score 20 goals each, which is fine if it happens. If that happens, cool. But for me, if you're not going to have a 20...
Which one would you have, going into the season, which one would you have demanded more? That Jesus hits 20 or Saka Martinelli hit 20 and Jesus is the complement to the two? Which one would you have? I don't know if demanded is the right word, but which one would you have?
No, I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I do. It's a hard question, though, because I don't think Jesus has got 20 league goals in him. So I don't expect that from him. So if you can't give me 20 league goals, you better give me 10 to 15 assists for Saka and Martinelli. Mm-hmm. They got 15 league goals, 50, I think it was league goals last season.
Yeah.
Right? If everyone's telling me that they're world-class players and talking about Martinelli, they need to get 20, 25. Let's be real. They need to put those numbers up. So I'm saying for me, if we're going to be kind to Jesus, say, okay, cool, you're not going to give us 25 goals because that's not your game. I'm fine with that. But then we need to expect 20 goals each from Martinelli and from Saka on the wing, which is, again, I'm cool with, but it's either or. It's either or for me.
My issue with the discourse around Jesus is more this kind of like, I don't know why it feels like we haven't learned from Pep and Klopp, two of the best managers we've seen in the league, who have won titles with a false nine, with strikers that lead the line and don't put up 20 to 30 goals a season. So my thing is much more leaning on what Turkish was saying. Absolutely, I would love an Ivan Toney. Who wouldn't love an Osimhen? Someone who can complement Jesus, someone who's another option, means you can use Jesus in different ways. And if he goes and bags a load of goals, fine. If that is how people like their players. It's like the Tierney thing, right? Tierney was never inverted fullback, but people loved him even though he did it in a different way. I understand that people have stylistic preferences and maybe they want a different option for their squad and maybe they want a slight upgrade. But I hear this hard line that we're never going to win the league with Jesus up top. And I'm like, why do we say that? Like, Pep won the league with Phil Foden up top or De Bruyne, whoever it was. He mixed it up. Firmino was never a gunman.
Do you know the difference? You're totally right. The difference between the years that Man City won the title and Liverpool won the title and us, look at both of those teams' back fives. They didn't let in many goals, so they could afford to have Firmino or a Sterling through the middle because, all right, we might not bag lots of goals, which they did, but we know at the back we're not letting in any goals.
We're
not doing that.
Well, I politely disagree. I'm not sure that was the case. For years, Liverpool did leak goals, then they added Van Dijk. I'd also say that isn't that what Arteta's maybe trying to do because he signed Timber and he plays Tomiyasu and you got Kivior, a load of proper defenders. Zinchenko's like the odd one out, isn't he?
I agree. Sorry, Lee. Just finally. I hear what you're saying, James. But look at our back five and look at their back fives. They're better, so they don't have to score 2-3 goals to guarantee a win. They can eke out 1-0 wins because they're not conceding many goals. Especially at home, we're not getting clean sheets, so we have to score 2-3 goals to guarantee wins. Sorry.
My argument is name a player that could play like he did yesterday.
Yeah.
Name a player. That was as perfect as a performance of a centre forward that I've seen. Not only did he score, he assisted. His work rate, he causes problems. He drops in, he drops out. If he plays like that every week, Arsenal would be. I think that they win the league because
before his injury last season, he was playing like that.
He was doing that. You know that performance yesterday was him being back to his best. The problem is what we just mentioned, is that now he's injured again. Is the injury record to him, like, you know? But I'm going to say this now. I don't think anybody really said that last season before his injury, neither. No one was turning around and going, I don't know where this has come from, or we need to upgrade on Jesus, or no one was saying that before he was injured. Everybody was just...
Oh, there was talk about that. There was talk. When we signed him, we knew he was getting a brilliant player, but we also knew he was getting a player that wasn't a gunman.
Yeah, I get that, but he won me over within 2 games.
Because he's a brilliant player.
I get what you're saying. I didn't think that he was as good as what I actually thought he was when I actually watched him. But watching him last night, I'm walking out of that stadium last night. You know, I don't know what I'm like jelly watching a game of. I can't.
There's not many of these players left in.
No, that can memorise you like that. Like certainly, Declan Rice did it with his performance as well. But like
in a different way.
Yeah, in a different way. But I actually he excites me. Jesus, he does wonderful things in a game of football, and I think we should be more appreciative. Yes, he's going to miss chances, but you know, just have a look at the first chance for Martinelli. It's fantastic centre forward play. Holds the ball up, waits for him to come through. Perfect pass.
Brilliant player. He's a brilliant player. Last night he was phenomenal. I'm just saying, on the free. It's fine margins here. And
I hear what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying.
I'm looking at February, March, April.
But isn't it a
real title race and you get 2 chances in the game because you're playing poor? Does your number 9 take one of those 2 chances? That's what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean?
I think
I'm looking ahead.
It's more upgrade on Nketiah than talk about Jesus. That's my
100.
opinion of it, because I think another striker come work in conjunction with Jesus. I think Jesus can play all 3 forward roles and really maybe an old school 10 type of support striker role too.
Yeah, great point.
Just
I
in
think he could do that, Turkish. I really do.
He's got that freedom about his play that you don't see in many players anymore. You know, Jesus is not the type of player in those moments. He isn't being asked to do that. That's just in his blood. That's in his culture. That's in the way he grew up playing football. But Joe, I want to go back to Tomiyasu, because that was actually the next player I was going to move on to after Jesus as well, either Jesus or Tomiyasu, because I think those two were the clear candidates for man of the match. Obviously, Declan Rice gets a mention too, and a couple other players. I think they all played well, if I'm honest. But James, yesterday you was full of praise for Tomiyasu. Jordan just said, similar to Jesus, you're not going to win a title with Tomiyasu starting.
No. I didn't say.
Well, you just said that.
No. What I said, I have concerns. Well, no, Tomiyasu, yeah, not Jesus. I said with Tomiyasu, if he's your starting fullback, you don't win a title. So Tomiyasu,
I got
Jesus.
Before James comes in, I've got to say something, because it's been on my mind for the last maybe 7-8 minutes. That train station has better Wi-Fi than you, bro.
No, I'm not. I'm not in the station. I'm
glad you said it.
Yeah.
I'm in a community hall. I'm in some
wherever you are, it's got better Wi-Fi than your house.
You say move in. You say move
Oh,
in. Here,
you might need to go there every week. 8 a.m. I want to see you there.
Wow.
Oh yeah, very nice.
See?
That's very nice, isn't it?
It's just a community hall. That's all. That's all. Yeah.
Sorry, back to Tomiyasu, James.
Well, I'm going to point you in the direction of Lee's favourite show. Tactical Insight is out, everyone. And I break down everything you need to know about Tomiyasu. Oh, well done, Lee. That was very good. I don't know what to say. He did everything yesterday. And I mean everything. They tried to switch the ball out when he was tucked in. He would sprint across, win his header. He could play with his right foot, left foot. He was overlapping if he needed to, but not that often. More often he was inverting to give us, the Zinchenko thing inside. But then because you got such a brilliant ball player out the back in Rice, who can also drop in next to Jorginho and play as a double pivot, Tomiyasu found himself going in the number 10 position. And it was our colleague Cass that told me to have a little look look back for Tactical Insight at his run for the Martinelli goal in the Man City game. So he's done it before. Like, there is a freedom to Tomiyasu at fullback. It's like, so Tomiyasu at left back was the Xhaka at number 8 replacement. There we go. Like, listen, I don't know. It's very tactically fascinating and interesting. Are you going to put it off against all teams? I don't know. But the positions he was taking up were really interesting. But generally what he was doing with the ball every single time, he was, really safe in possession. He was attempting a few through balls. He was trying to get creative. He was pressing really well. And then when Arsenal had to dig deep, he was up for that too. And we know he's got that in his locker. We saw that day one at Arsenal, that he's a superb defender. And I think he is one of those players that gets brought up when you're talking about the best defenders in the league, the best up for the battle. Whoever you're asking, fans of any club, like Wan-Bissaka gets thrown in. Tomiyasu is one of them. And I just think he was brilliant. And I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy that, Zinchenko not being at his best. We talked about Tomiyasu coming in. I thought, well, away from home. That was the discourse on starting 11. Away from home, difficult, Champions League night. Yeah, maybe it makes sense to be a little bit more rigid. But actually, he gave us more fluidity. It was weird. He was doing the Zinni thing better than Zinni. Now, does that make him a better inverted left back than Zinchenko? No, it's been one game. But wow, we have options. This is great. Now if you want to invert from right back, like we did with Partey at the beginning of the season, you don't have to start putting Partey out there. Maybe Tomiyasu can do it. So, I was really, really impressed with him. And probably my man of the match, if you're talking across the whole 90 minutes. Yeah. I thought Declan Rice in the second half was the standout player. And then I thought Jesus, for his 2 moments, probably deserves the man of the match award because they're the match-defining moments. But 90 minutes of never putting a foot wrong, that was Tomiyasu. And playing at a level that I think everyone was super impressed by.
I think just quickly, your point about him being a brilliant defender is so bang on. And you've made me realise who he is. He's the modern-day Azpilicueta, who for 5 years for me was the best defender in the Premier League. He was the best defender in the Premier League. His defensive output, and he could play across the back line as well, was so underrated. So underrated, Azpilicueta. He was a brilliant defender. I really hated that I loved him so much. And you're right, James. Tomiyasu is a defender. Going forward, he doesn't offer, well, as you just again said, he's offering more now. But in the past, he's not really been a threat going forward. Insight. Yeah, I know. You should.
You need to,
10 minutes ago, he said, 10 minutes ago, he said, we ain't going to win the league with him. And then just now, he's like, listen, he's a great defender.
I've always thought he was a brilliant defender. I'm just saying.
Which one is it? Do you want him to start against Sheffield United or not?
No, I do actually. But what I'm saying is that I have concerns over a bank of games. If he's of the level that can compete over 10, 15 games in a row, I think it's good enough to get top 4. I'm just not sure. I have doubts, and I'm happy to be proven wrong.
He's not going to win us the title, but you know who he reminds me of? This Premier League title winner.
Yeah.
You know what, though? You say about titles. I know Saliba got injured yet last season, but if Tomiyasu would have not got injured on the same day, I think Arsenal may have won the league. I really do. I think he's outstanding defender. You never know, but I watched him last night, and I actually thought I'm going to say Gabriel's performance went under the radar yesterday as well. I thought he fantastic, particularly in the first half and when we needed to defend. I just think he's a quality defender. I don't know if you noticed it. There was one time the ball got a little bit over. It was too much of a cross, and he was coming in on the left. He just got a flick header on it, like just enough to, I've seen it go over fullbacks' heads and the wide player coming in and banging it in from there. He doesn't let that happen. He defends his area of the field, whatever it be, very, very well. And I don't see many people go around him, I don't really see many people go around him and all that, I think that he's, too good maybe to be a squad player. I think,
but also for the sake of balance, it's also taken Tomiyasu a little while to get back to this form. He's
had injuries, James.
He's had lots of injuries. Now, I know, when he came back from an injury against Diogo Jota in his first season, he had a real struggle there. Then he was out for a little bit longer. Then he came back, kind of okay. He was suddenly playing left back. Last season, we didn't see too much of him, if I'm not mistaken. You think the mistake against Man City, there were kind of moments like that. And then in pre-season, where I was a little bit worried about him, was he was up against Anthony. I don't rate Anthony. He was up against Anthony in pre-season when we faced Man United. We were all there. And Anthony just had fun with him. And I was just like, this is Tom have the injuries. I know he's very young, but we've seen injuries can sometimes knock your confidence. But he's built and built and built. And what he's been doing, and I want Arteta to almost see how Tommy's grown into it. And like the Hope Havertz does the same thing. He's with cup appearances, but also appearances off the bench. He's slowly built into it and built up the minutes to the point where now we're seeing give him an hour, give him 70, now give him 90. He's kind of grown into it. And now Ziddy's going to be sweating for his place.
Yeah, he needs to fight for it back, I think. For the foreseeable future, Tomiyasu should be starting. If he maintains this level of performance, then why not? But defensively, he's definitely better. I mean, the whole conversation has been about Zinchenko inverts better, but Tomiyasu showing a bit of inverting himself. But let's talk about what a fullback is first foremost really meant to do, and that's defending, and something that Zinchenko has been exposed a couple of times in the last 12 months or so. Tomiyasu moving forward. Do we talk? We won the game, but at the end of the last show, in the comment section, a few people said uncomfortable conversations about Odegaard following the Chelsea game. He did follow it up with another poor game against Sevilla. Listen, at the start, the first 20, 25 minutes, running his socks off. But it just is not clicking for him at the moment. Yeah. And I won't agree that he's having a bad season. I wouldn't call it a bad season, but he's not the same Odegaard that we saw last season.
Needs to step it up, Turkish. Needs to step it up. But I believe that he will. I wouldn't be...
Do you think he's overthinking it? Because the way he was running in the first... 90 seconds in, he went to the crowd like, let's go. Like 90 seconds in, and he was running. It's like, do you think he's overthinking
what against Sevilla?
Yeah.
I'm about to defend Odegaard massively on this podcast, but I've always thought that all this is a bit too. Jordan, do you remember the thing you put in the group chat?
Maybe he done it to the players, but he done it to someone. He was just there. Like,
I didn't see that, but you know.
But I love his intensity in general.
Listen, I just think sometimes as a footballer, things don't happen for you. You know, like the passes that he's trying are not coming off at the moment. Next week they may do. Like, you know, last season he'd have banged that goal in that chance. He'd have banged it in. It would have been a goal. It's just not quite happening for him at the moment. But
a bit harshly, I think it did bounce quite high. That wasn't any.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I think he's got so much ability.
Yeah,
I expect him to score those. And you know, the bar. Listen, he's put the bar high, and rightly so. I think he's a fantastic footballer. And it's just not quite happening for him at the minute. But what I will say about him, whether you think it's right or whether you think it's wrong, is that if he's not playing well, he puts a bloody shift in. I know people will say, well, that's what he's supposed to.
I agree.
But he does. He doesn't shirk his responsibilities. And I just think it's not working for him at the minute. And, you know, I've heard people turn around and say, I'll rest him for Sheffield United. Why? Maybe rest him in the game against West Ham or whatever, but, you know, certainly not. And I'll give Arteta credit. If he hasn't playing well, he hauls him off. I don't see a problem with it. Like, you know, I'm sure he'll play around. A quality player. I'm not, you know, I do think that with us Arsenal fans, we do like to move around on a certain player. I don't know why all of a sudden we're saying this about him, really, if I'll be honest.
I'm so with you, Lee, because when we did the Player of the Month award for September, I had Odegaard as one of my nominees. So he did something that month that impressed. And I was trying to think back to those games. PSV, he was brilliant. Everton away, I thought he was fantastic, especially when we were holding on to the lead and he had to show some composure, take some good touches on the ball, to the point where he had, you know, Gary Neville doing a whole segment on his podcast about how he's the kind of player like David Silva and De Bruyne that you just love to watch. Got the big goal away at Man United, worked hard in that game. Okay, he wasn't great against Tottenham, he wasn't great against City. And now I agree he's hit a slightly patchy bit of form, but like players do go in and out of form. I don't just think of day-to-day life. I don't feel my best every single day. Like I think that's just normal for human beings. And James Maddison across the road, we talked about this on the watch along. James Maddison across the road is playing superbly. That, coupled with the fact that we signed Havertz as our £65 million left 8, is putting a lot of pressure on the midfield situation to get it right. And Odegaard performing at a certain level is part of that pressure. Maddison wasn't good for Leicester for a little while. Like, he was part of a team that got relegated. But then 2-3 years ago, he was sublime when they nearly got into the top 4. Like, you can just have lulls in form. You can then get back to it. Martin Odegaard is not the only one on that right-hand side struggling. Bukayo Saka this season has been fine, but he's not been his best at all, in my opinion. Ben White, I think, has been good, but he's not been the Ben White of last season. Thomas Partey hasn't been in that area to kind of knit it all together and help them out. You know, he receives from Ben White, he feeds Odegaard, he feeds Saka. So I don't want to say one player makes all the difference. I don't want to make that excuse for them. But something's not right generally for all their forms. So I'm really willing to be patient. And we've had some really tough games, some tough away games, some tough opposition who I believe will all set up to stop Martin Odegaard as well. So they need to figure it out. But I think they'll figure it out. I've got no doubt.
So far, I mean, I said on the watch-along game, but so far this season, overall, I'd only really say Gabriel, Saliba, and that's about it, have maintained or exceeded their performances last season. Aside from that, every player seems to have taken a hit in some way, shape, or form. And last show, we went in depth about tactical concerns. So if anyone hasn't watched the last show, I suggest you do, because maybe that's the root of it all, because it's not just Odegaard that is patchy or is poor at the moment. I think many have been patchy or poor, but, you know, others are getting moments, like Odegaard had the United one. Saka's had a lot of moments, but performances yet. Martinelli the same, a performance yet. Jesus, that was his last night, in my opinion. And that's what I mean by a performance, where you're putting in the work, but you also have them big moments, especially from an attacker. But we'll keep it short and sweet on Odegaard. Hopefully he does, turn it around real soon. But let's move, because we got a game this weekend, Sheffield United at home, one that really doesn't need to be discussed much. I expect that we're all pretty confident about this one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We should, like, I don't want any Sheffield United fan watching this going, how arrogant to think that you should beat us. Look, of course we should. We should beat Sheffield United. But football is football.
Yeah.
and the one thing about Arsenal last season, we were playing Bournemouth at home, and Bournemouth kind of struggling in the relegation battle. I ended up bringing Tomiyasu in for Ben White and Vieira in for Xhaka. And, okay, we got away with it because of the Reece Nelson 97th minute brilliant goal. But there was something about Arsenal. Southampton at home, it should have been comfortable, been in the midst of a title race. Was it too tense? Was it too pressurized? I feel like fans are going to go into this game more nervy than they were going into the Sevilla game. I don't know why. I just feel like the Champions League is largely being enjoyed by fans, whereas the Premier League feels like every game is like we got to win. I keep saying it's a marathon. I think if everyone, the players, the club included, not get complacent, but just relax and just enjoy it, I think we'll be fine. But I just feel like there's this underlying tension every time we go into the Premier League games. There's this it's just simmering, and like one rare mistake, and like, oh no, we concede maybe in the first 10 minutes, and it's just like the Fulham game at home is a good example of that. We gave away a goal in the first minute and just we couldn't ever get up to speed. Like there was tension in everything we did. So we need to shake that off, because I think at home we have been a bit tense and a bit whatever. But yeah, I still think we will and should beat them for sure.
Because I think the main difference this season is the expectation is very different.
Yeah.
Last season there was little expectation to do anything other than get top 4. And once we hit the ground running in the season and found that form, we just rode that wave all the way to the, to the 30th game. And then, we fell off the surfboard. But this season going in, the expectation is challenge, if not pit Man City to the title this season. So performances are more tense, even from my perspective as a fan. I'm not too sure about all of yours, but I really want to still, be in there in January and if the club want to, really go for it and invest. And, I don't want no excuses. I want us to really start going for it because a lot's changed in the last 12 months. Jordan?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, a clean sheet is essential in a good performance. And I think that is almost preferable to me than a blowout. I'd rather have a convincing 2-0 than a 5-2. That might sound mad to many people, but I'd rather have a 2-0 win where we're the better team quite clearly, and we're dominant, and we get out of there with a clean sheet. This team should be scoring against us, and we go home, move on to the next one. Then we get involved in a 5-2, a 4-2, a 3-1 even. It's like, I want a clean sheet. So that for me is what's more important, because people were expecting a blowout. If it's 5-0, happy days, great. But I think what's more important is we need to start getting these home clean sheets. We have to start getting more home clean sheets. Otherwise, we're going to have to my earlier point, always have to score 2, 3, 4 goals to win a game at home. And that's not going to win you a title.
No.
I think there may be a couple of changes to the team because of, like the 3 games in 7 days. And also, I've been doing my research, watching my stats, like, as James informed me to do last week, like, Sheffield United only just lost to Manchester United last weekend. They only just lost to Spurs, high-flying Spurs at that stage with
and City, and City as well.
Yeah, City was a close game as well. So they're not easy to and we shouldn't be taken for granted. But listen, if we've got bounce back after, I think, a little bit of a disappointment at Chelsea. I know we did on Tuesday, but that's the Champions League. We've got to do it back in the league, and I think that they will do. I'm pretty confident.
That is true. Like, I'm not trying to plant excuses in early for Arsenal. It's unacceptable if they don't win this game. But when there is seemingly such a distance, because listen, let's just say what everyone's been saying. Everyone keeps saying these 3 teams have been promoted, are some of the worst teams we've seen promoted. And I always think, listen, like, let's have some respect, right? They got promoted, right? And they're finding their feet, whatnot. Luton have shown some resilience away from home at times, whatever. Sheffield United, you're right. They made United work hard for it. They made Tottenham work hard for it. They made Man City work hard for it. And I think a big part of that will be because I think they will recognize that they'll get into a contained shape, and then it's a question of, can you break us down? And that is very, very difficult to do sometimes when a team is on it defensively and they're tracking their men and they defend a pitch is very big, but a goal is very small. That is not, some great tactical insight. It can get very tight and congested. And that is why sometimes I find Arsenal struggle more. I need to do some research on these numbers, but sometimes I find that we will struggle more against 17th place than we will 9th. Do you know what I mean? Like a team that fancy it and want to take it to us and maybe are in good form and think they can take the game to us. But then having said all that, and I'm sort of now flipping on my own point, teams this season like Lens and Chelsea, they took the game to us and that's why we struggled more. So I don't know. I think we'll come through, but I think there'll be a lot of picking locks, and I think I think we'll be made to work for it, but I think we'll come through it.
I get you, and I think that's part of, before we move on to predictions, I think the way the tactical tweaks have come across to me is the expectation that we're going to come up against low blocks week in, week out. But it seems to be that the teams that I'll go for it, Tottenham, Lens, you mentioned examples, they seem to be getting something from us. Even Fulham actually went for it in periods in that game. And Forest at the end, we can go on and on. But yeah, let's move into predictions.
Waffling on, so you don't want to put that table.
No. Unfortunately, my Photoshop wasn't working, so I couldn't. The table.
Don't worry, I can write on a bit of pen and paper. Don't worry about that. Get it up, son. Get it up.
Don't worry, man. I ain't got nothing to hide.
I hope you're talking about the table.
Well, yeah.
Oh dear, how the mighty
There we go.
fallen.
Realistically, if I've had my points, I'll be up there and they're winning it now. We're very hard.
No, you'd be second. I'd be up there winning it.
Do you know what? Quickly, just before you got a picture of this scene, right? Like yesterday, we've just beaten Seville, all celebrating, and I got a tap on the shoulder, and this bloke turned around and said, "Turkish is bottom of the league."
No way!
I swear down. I said, "We're just Turkish is bottom of the league." He's got like, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Fantastic.
I've got to say, the battle for second's hotting up, to be fair.
Listen to him. Listen to him.
What? 9, 9, and 8. That is tense. That's tense.
1 point behind you.
Only a point in it. Like realistically, me and Turkey should be top. Really, like no. Turkey shouldn't be. He should have had his points deducted. Like. James has got one extra that he shouldn't have.
I also had
and I got 2 dots for my daughter's birthday.
I had a point dot. I had a point dot the night that you were late as well, Lee.
Oh, was you?
Yeah, I also had a point, but I accepted
one,
it.
Yeah.
Come on, James, get on with it.
Come on.
Yeah, let's move. Just ahead. I just want to let people know. Robbie had a word with me the other day. Said he got complaints from a couple panel members about I'm always winning the prediction stuff and that, and it's they might pull out of the show if it continues. So I said, all right, I'll throw it. I'll throw it, Rob. If you want me to throw it, I'll throw it. That's all good. So that might explain the table at the moment. For audio listeners, 14 games have been played, 14 predictions have been made. James is top, 1 correct score, 10 points. Jordan and Lee are tied in second, both with 1 correct score, both with 9 points. And I am currently last, 2 correct scores, 8 points, a 3-point deduction, and me against the
Oh,
shameless.
Let's move. Prediction time. James, let's go. What are you going with?
I really don't know. I'm like toying with either 2-0 or 4-1 or
one of those ones
we'll concede because we're annoying like that. So I'm just gonna say 3-1.
3-1. Who's up next? Jordan.
3-0.
3-0.
2-0.
2-0. All the scores have been taken. Jesus injured. 3-0.
Ooh.
You might have gone 2-1.
You lot learn whilst I'm bottom how to rise back up the table, because you lot are going to be in this situation soon. So actually, no, James is my brother. I wish James all the best.
Don't worry.
What have I done?
I hope James has a star next season. Fuck it. I hope James.
We're moving on up.
Nice, man. I wish you all the best. The irritating thing about being top, like I said, I'm not even here to win it. I'm just here to finish above Lee.
Yeah,
but I've got to make my prediction before him. Otherwise, I'd just copy him all the way to game week 38. But
if I don't win it, you got to win it, James.
Yeah, I'll do my best, mate. I'll do my best.
That's the good thing.
Turn your camera off. Turn your camera off, James.
Good thing about it.
Look at that.
Look at that. These guys. What's the conspiracy?
Ever since they made up that point, like they shook hands on a point. You know what I mean?
This half right here. This is the right half. People, predictions have been made. I haven't even told you what it was, but you heard it. James has gone 3-1. Jordan's gone 3-0. I've gone 3-0, and Lee has gone 2-0. Let us know your predictions in the comment section below, and let's slowly but surely move it on to comments of the day. Jordan, ready?
Yeah. Can I just say that I don't know what's happened this week, but we were inundated with comments of love from people just showing the love, man. The comments were on fire this week. They were good this week. They were really good this week. I've got to say, well done. They were much better this weekend. So
well done.
Shout out
thank you for the love. You got a lot of love and appreciation, Jordan. Is it just a well done?
Bloody time. Don't push it. Don't push it. I'm going to turn my camera off and get my comments up. Hang on 1 second. Someone else go before me while I'm looking for mine. Hang on.
Lee, are you ready? Are you looking for yours now?
No, I've got mine. I've got a couple. I don't really know which one to go with.
You can see you scrolling through your glasses.
Yeah.
No, I've got them photoed. If you don't believe me, you know what I mean. So
no, I'll go. It's taking too long.
Do you want me to go first?
First one is the Zinni thing is why we purchased Urian Timber, but unfortunately he had a bad injury had he been fit, I don't think Arteta would have played Zinni much at all. Just thought that was an interesting comment in the discussion we had on the last pod about Zinchenko's performances. And the other one was Turkish. I admire how you stay calm, even when you're consistently talked over. Jordan, you're professional, well-spoken, intelligent with comments. So I just thought I'd throw that in there as well, because there's people that obviously do talk a lot of sense in the comments sometimes.
Right, so Jordan forgot comments of the week this week. Fair enough.
Yeah. I will say this also, guys.
We've all done it. And then you try and explain why.
I actually didn't.
Comment of the week.
I actually didn't.
Jordan was getting some high praise.
Great pod, big up. Yeah, really good.
Say that, Jordan. A few of the guys were saying, like, big up to you last night. Like, I mean, they questioned whether you was actually an Arsenal fan. One actually questioned you might be a Man United fan, but they were big up in you and say that you are a big part of the show.
Forget the big ups. He's the reason we got to lock this off in 3 minutes. So
okay, I'll go then.
By the way, can we wrap it up, please, guys?
Can I just say the fact there is a new champion in town, but James' tactical show is finally paying off. Lee, it's time to watch and we'll make your way up the table. There you go, like, you know what I mean? So
thank you, Mum. Well done. Got my message. That's fantastic. All right. Mine was, and it's only for one word in it, the man of the match performance by J Unit this week. His face when the prediction table came up was priceless, not to mention his passion when scrolling through the comments at the end, Oscar worthy. Listen, when I saw people calling you J Unit,
that's it.
Yeah, that's got. You know what? One of mine actually from Paul Brook, it says was nice to see J Unit back this week. So mine had that.
Come on,
but
I didn't read the name. It was
J Unit.
Yannick Norman.
Champion. Yannick, yeah.
Yeah, that was mine.
I got one here from Linda Kule, and he says, "Damn, the best football pod out there by far. Quality balance between authentic fan opinions, healthy banter, and a synergy of energies. Top stuff." And remember last week when we locked off the show, and then I told you what the first comment on the show was. I had to bring that up. Lee S said Jordan should spend less time looking at the comments and focus on our fixture list instead.
That was top quality, that one. That was top quality.
That was good.
People, we're going to wrap it up here. Before we do wrap it up, remember, this episode of the Fourever Arsenal podcast has been in paid partnership with BetterHelp. There's a QR code on the screen. There's a link in the description, or you can type it in yourself, betterhelp.com/AFTV for 10% off your first month. Like I mentioned before, if you want to talk, if you want to learn, if you just want to vent, they're here for you. betterhelp.com/AFTV for 10% off. We're going to wrap it up here. Jordan, you go catch your train. James, I'll see you tomorrow.
Nice journey home, Jordan.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Guys, lovely.
People, we'll see you next week after the Sheffield United game and before the West Ham Carabao Cup game. Love for the lovers. Always hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Put the notification bell on. And we'll be back real soon. Peace.